Hello! Today I want to talk about classes in 5e and other role-playing systems, and if we actually need classes. Now in 5e there are many classes to begin with. We also have an option of multi-classing, and then there are numerous subclasses for every class. And with every new rule supplement that Wizards of the Coast puts out, we get more subclasses. And on one hand, I like that. I like the idea of getting something special for my character that no one else can do, that is super cool. I like fiddling with builds and make a strong character and try to exploit the hell out of the game. But on the other hand, I find all of that rather pointless. Let me try to explain. So, I like my characters to be able to do cool stuff. But it's not like the characters need this super cool subclass to be able to do cool stuff. Your characters are able to do cool stuff no matter what class they are. Especially if the game you're playing is a bit more freeform. For example, in the Dark Eye 1-point dark game I'm running, every character can do cool stuff, and technically they don't have classes at all. They don't have skills or feats. They just have their ability scores, and we roll on that, and we improvise the rest. Alright, that's a bit more of a grounded game. It's not very high fantasy. So we don't need like a hexblade warlock with a demonic weapon or something. What you also have to keep in mind is that when there are abilities, spells, special abilities that your character can do, it means vice versa. He can't do what's not in his abilities, special abilities and spells. So actually then giving you more stuff you can do, it is punishingly limiting to what your character actually can do. If all of that stuff is just not there, then it is implied that you can actually do all of that stuff, but through role-playing. And that goes back to basic D&D, old school, where you just had very few basic classes like fighter, thief, cleric, and mage. And then someday we got elf and dwarf and halfling. But the four classes, fighter, thief, cleric, mage, that was it. And through those four classes, you could actually make any character you could imagine. Because what an adventuring character does is somehow a combination of fighting, stealing, praying to the gods, and casting spells. So you could just pick like your primary focus, and then through allocation of ability scores and through roleplay, you could just make up all the rest. And then if you add the ability to multi-class, which we also have in 5e, I don't see the point in many subclasses. Like fighter subclass, the Eldritch Knight, I think it's called, is a fighter that can also cast wizard spells. But isn't that actually just a fighter with a few levels of multi-class into mage? I'm playing a School of Valor Bard, which is a bard that is a bit better at fighting. Isn't that just a bard multi-class into fighter? And so on. I mean, it's not completely the same. That's not how the 5e rules work. But it definitely could be. Imagine if you could combine the basic classes any way you want, and you've got a huge selection of feats and spells to accompany that, to round that up, to make any character you can think of, and then some creative role playing you do with your group and your GM. And then what else is a warlock? Is someone who didn't start out having spells, and then in the course of the game, maybe as the kick-off adventure, he made a pact with a higher power to gain magic abilities. So he gets multi-classed from whatever thief into magic user into mage. So now he can cast a few spells, but at a terrible price. And then you can get your feats, your hexblade feat or something similar that allows you to attack with your weapon using charisma, or maybe the hexblade is actually just a spell you can find and learn and cast, and you get this packed weapon rather than having it as a class, subclass feature at that. Like, Find Familiar is just a spell, and you get this personalized familiar that's always around. And for Warlock, this packed weapon is a class feature. Sometimes I wonder if having all these classes and subclasses was more of a commercial decision than a game design one, because by having these subclasses, they can bring out another source book like every year or two with more subclasses that people want, because it's cool having subclasses, and maybe the new subclasses are better than the old subclasses, and then you got to have the new subclasses. Seriously, who's playing a warlock with any of the base world subclasses? Like, packed weapon doesn't even make any sense if you're not also a hexblade. You can use your charisma score to attack. I think I'm railing on about that warlock quite a bit today, but that's the character I've been thinking about creating. Anyway, I get the feeling it's more of a commercial decision, so they can sell just more subclasses and more subclasses rather than running out of useful material they could publish. And from a game design standpoint, I think having a more flexible system that allows you to mesh and combine classes, multi-class, feats and spells to make whatever character build you want to make is a more sensible system. And if you really go down that route, you don't need classes at all. I mean, I mean, what else is a class than giving your character a focus, a specialization of what he can do? But if you already have an ability system, a skill system, and a feat system that tell you what your character can do, you could make up a character just from abilities, feats, and skills. You want to play a fighter? Put your scores in strength and constitution, get the heavy armor feat, the heavy weapon feat, boom, you're done. Want to play a wizard? Put your points into intelligence, get the spell casting feat, and learn a great number of fireball spells. And while on one hand I like classes, I think these classless systems are actually way more elegant in their design because they enable you to create any character you can think of. Now, if you're new to the system and you actually don't know what character might be appropriate to the setting, you might be a bit lost. But most of these building block systems I know, these classless systems, they will give you a number of archetypes, pre-built characters have been built using that system, and then you can just have a look at them, and they are a great example of what a character can look like. And if you want to make a character quickly on the fly, you can just take the archetype right from the book and play that, or take it from the book and make slight adjustments, and then you've got your character. Shadowrun does it like that, for example, and I always found that was an elegant system, though Shadowrun is very crunchy. And there's a lot you can do with the character building system from Shadowrun, and it clearly invites power gaming. I guess D&D does too, but I don't think quite to the degree that you can do in Shadowrun. So, yeah, character classes. Are they cool? Do you really need them, or are they superfluous and you could do with just a building block system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and goodbye.